My name is Sean Stevens. I'm the owner of White Squirrel Brewery, one of the owners of White Squirrel Brewery. Originally, I'm from Danville, Kentucky. I came to school here back in the early 90s.
Let's go back even further. Where'd you go to school in Danville?
Danville High School.
So you're in, what is that, Admiral?
Yep.
You're not a, what is it,
Not
Boyle?
a rebel, yeah, Boyle County Rebels, no.
How did you choose Western over Center or any place like that? Did you need to escape the Central Kentucky?
Yes, I wanted to get as far away from home, but I had to stay in the state. So Bowling Green it was, and my sister was already here, so that helped.
Okay. And so what'd you go to Western for?
I started out going for art education, and then I went to environmental science, and then I started traveling and brewing beer.
Well, that makes sense. You know, art education always leads to beer. And growing up in Danville, did you have any like jobs as a kid, or?
I worked for a pharmacy for a minute.
Which goes with drinking.
Yes. And my grandfather owned a couple businesses, so I helped him do. He owned a cardboard recycling business and a trash business. So
Okay.
I helped him too.
Okay. And did your dad work in that business?
Oh yes.
Okay. Yeah. So is it kind of like, how far back is it business owners in your family there?
My great grandfather started a sand and gravel plant in Middletown, Ohio, back in the 40s.
Okay.
Yeah, and then my great grandfather took it over. My grandfather took it over, and he moved to Danville and started Stevens Disposal.
Stevens Disposal, is it still there?
No, they sold out to Waste Management when I was younger.
Okay. And so, but in between Western graduating and beer, you did something else.
Yeah, well, I didn't graduate, first of all.
Oh, okay. So you got some credit hours still left up there.
Yes, I got a few to go. I'll get there one day.
They're all PE, right?
Absolutely. So basically, I was going to school and I decided to take a semester off.
You've taken a few.
Yes, and still taking that semester off, and I ended up out west. And
when we say out west, what are we talking?
I was in Flagstaff, Arizona for a few years, and then I was in Eugene, Oregon.
Okay.
And in Eugene is where I discovered craft beer, and then I came back to Bowling Green.
Like what year is that?
I was 20 years old, so it was 22 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm 42 now. So
yeah, we're not doing math right now.
Yeah.
And now with that, that's way before the craft.
Yes.
I mean, that's like, what was around? Anchor was around.
Anchor's,
and
Sierra Nevada.
Okay.
That was about it.
Yeah.
Really.
Was the one down in San Diego?
Deschutes was around, because Deschutes was my first craft brew I had.
Okay.
And that's what kind of sparked my interest was when I lived in Eugene. I tried some Deschutes Black Butte Porter, and I realized the beer was way more than Busch Light and Natty Light.
Okay.
And then I came back here to visit, and Hops was opening.
Okay.
So I decided to stay, and I got on with Hops as a bartender. And I was 21, and then by the time I was 22, they asked me to go to Chattanooga and be the brewmaster.
Okay.
And so I was like, I don't know how to brew beer, and they're like, oh, we'll figure it out. And so they gave me about a 9-month training and about a 3-week process. And I went down and I had my name on the door. At 22 years old, I was the brewmaster at Hops in Chattanooga.
So you were really overbilled at 22.
I had no idea what I was doing. I stood up. But I mean, imagine 20 years ago, they gave me a book, and I would basically say, all right, push this button. All right, add this. And I didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing. I just did it.
So how bad was your beer back then?
It was pretty flawless because they had a system.
Okay.
The beer was so basic, they had a system where you really couldn't mess it up.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you had to try to mess it up.
Okay.
So it was pretty average. I mean, they didn't want you to be creative. It was a chain. They wanted every restaurant to have the same tasting beer in every single restaurant around the country.
Okay.
So.
And I kind of remember that in the 90s, like even when I was up in Lexington area, I forget the big, down by UK, and they had like four tanks, and you would have four,
like
and
Big River or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember. It maybe even been called Lexington Brew Co. or I don't know, something like that. So that was kind of the early stages of craft beer, and that's when you were there. So you're in Chattanooga.
Chattanooga, 22 years old, no idea what I'm doing.
So how do we get from Chattanooga?
Well, Chattanooga, I end up going back out to Flagstaff, spending a lot of time out
What's in Flagstaff?
I just had a buddy of mine from high school that was out there that I ran into on the road. And,
yeah, that's a random town to pick.
Yes, and I love it.
Yeah, it's a great town.
It's beautiful. So I ended up spending about 4 years there.
Okay, and what'd you do there?
I met a guy that owned a landscaping company, and I ran his landscaping company for him.
Okay, that's a 180 from Brewmaster. Okay.
Again, I had no idea what I was doing, but I
figured it out. Okay, and then so where'd you go after that?
Then I came back to Bowling Green for a minute, and ended up in Louisville.
Okay,
and then I ended up in Louisville for quite a bit of time after that.
And were you UPS? Is that what you told me?
I was FedEx here.
FedEx here.
Yeah, but when I was up in Louisville, I was bartending up and down Barstown Road in the Highlands.
Okay, so you've always been kind of attached to the bar industry, bar culture, and then you came back here with FedEx?
I came back here, I ran into my wife, who was my good friend then, and we got married, and I ended up in Danville.
Always happens, good friend, wife.
And then I did stonework.
Okay.
For a good friend of mine, Richard McAllister in Lexington, so I worked stone all over the horse farms in Lexington. I did all the stonework there.
Okay.
It was awesome, but it was backbreaking. But my office was the most beautiful horse farms in the world.
Sure. And, like, what's your favorite horse farm you worked with?
John Bell.
John Bell? Okay.
It's it's unbelievable. It's by Darley. Darley is a series of farms.
Yeah.
Owned by Sheikh Maktoum.
Yeah.
We did all of his farms. He's got 4.
The one with the huge plane that just flies into Lexington Airport and pays the fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we worked for him year round pretty much when I was there.
Nice.
At one of his farms. He loved our stuff, and so but John Bell was my favorite of all of his farms.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then you ended up back here after that.
Back here with my wife. We got married. We lived in Danville. She got pregnant, wanted to come home.
Okay, I understand.
So we moved back here 11 years ago.
Okay. And then what'd you do when you got here? You worked FedEx?
I did. I continued with stonework. We opened up a shop down in Nashville, and I ran it. But the market fell out.
Was that 2008?
2008.
Yeah. Everyone fell then.
And then I went FedEx.
Okay.
And then I went. And then I sold printing for print media.
Our designer designer and printer. Yeah.
Yes, where I met you.
Yes.
Yeah. And then this started about.
Yeah, let's talk about how this started, because everyone, I told you did your year anniversary, and it was kind of crap because it's not a year anniversary because you guys started way before
5 years before that.
Yeah, so nothing happens overnight. So
I was having dinner outside of 440 Main with some friends from California, and we were talking about that old church. Taylor's Chapel right by Skypack.
Yeah.
And my wife and I had always talked about how that'd be a great music venue / brewery.
Yeah.
But we realized we could never afford it. But we were just talking, and anyway, another friend at the table Dave Downing had a mutual friend who he knew was wanting to open a brewery, and we were talking about it. He's like, I need to get y'all together. So in great Dave fashion, he forgot about it and ignored my phone calls. But I accidentally ran into these two guys. And like 6 months later, and I was at a friend's house, and Heflin shows up with a growler of homebrew.
Okay.
And and so I was like, Dave Downey? He said, yeah. So anyway, long story short, we start brewing every other weekend at Damon Wilcox, my other partner. We start brewing at his, in his garage down in Nashville every second Saturday. We would brew all day, and we would come up with really bad business plans. And then go hit people up for money.
Yeah.
And no one wanted to. Hey guys. What's happening? Oh, we're just getting interviewed. And no one wanted to give us any money. And so basically, we tried and tried and tried, and then finally, I was in contact with Tom Holmes about it forever. I went and saw him and talked to him about it to get advice all the time. And he had the place that we're at now come available, and he said, hey, why don't you try it here? He said, just do it small, try it here.
Yeah.
And
he's been that's one thing. And
but back to Tom Holmes, he hired me at House 23 years before.
Okay.
So that's how I met him. He came to Bowling Green because he was a general manager at Hobbs. He didn't stay long because he ended up buying 440 and taking 440 over.
Okay.
That's where all that started. That's how I met him. So and he became good friends with my father-in-law. I kept in contact with him the whole time.
And he's actually, in a past interview, we talked to Josh Poland, who gave him a lot of credit for saying, good. I mean, he was really helpful with Josh and getting him in and working at 440, and then was very supportive when he opened home. So yeah, he's a mini godfather around here.
Well, he owned the building that we're in, and when we were going to open, we were just going to do a brewery and snacks. We weren't going to do a restaurant, but laws changed, and if I wanted to serve wine, then I had to have 51% food sales, because my wife doesn't drink beer, she drinks wine, so I had to have wine. And so Tom was like, I'll help you with the restaurant. So he and Danny Gonzalez basically gave me Hannah, my chef, gave me Sarah, my general manager, and gave me all the infrastructure to do a restaurant. And speaking of the devil, there's Danny right there. And then, and so long story short, 2 years into it, Heflin's business taking off. I needed help with the restaurant side. I needed way more help with the restaurant side. So Tom and Danny came on as partners, buying Jason Heflin out. And now here we are.
You used to be here day-to-day operation.
Yes.
So what is Sean's real role now?
So now I'm back. I'm doing what I was supposed to do in the beginning, and that's focus on the beer.
Okay.
And now
preaching the gospel of White Squirrel.
Now I had taken over brewing operations. Damon is our head brewer. He came up with most of the recipes, but he has been busy with other things, so he hadn't had the time that he needs to dedicate to it at the moment. So I've taken over brewing operations. Danny Gonzalez has really helped me with organizing a lot of the sales part of it, but I'm not doing the sales. I'm doing the brewing. I'm doing the. I do everything beer now. I have nothing to do with the restaurant. I mean, although I'm at the restaurant some still, because that's where the brewery is, and I help wherever I can, but I stay out of the day-to-days, and it seems to be going a lot smoother.
Okay.
Since I'm out of that.
Yeah, you're not really meant to manage this place.
No. I'm not a good manager.
And so what's kind of the things you're focusing on now I look over your head?
I'm focusing on...
look up.
Cans. My babies. I focus on getting the cans out on the streets. I want the cans in every gas station and grocery store I can get them in. And right now we have the Kolsch and the Pale Ale in cans. We're in the works of getting the nut brown in the cans, just not yet.
When do you think that'll happen?
We're working on that this week. So we're hoping within the next month. It might be a month and a half.
Maybe late November, early December.
That's what we're hoping.
Okay.
So I'm wanting to get those everywhere I can. They've turned out, I love the design, how they turned out. They've turned out really well. And I really work on brand development and just getting our name out there and constantly.
And while we were taking a little break in the gap in the video, if anyone sees an edit there, you took a couple calls about tap takeover.
Tap takeovers. I've been doing that constantly. I did one at Arcadium in Lexington last week. I did an event with Against the Grain Saturday in Louisville. I've got a tap takeover next week at 54 something liquor store in Owensboro.
So you're really just traveling the state, and do you get down to Tennessee right now?
Not yet. I'm working on that next week.
Okay.
I'm working on getting a distributor down there.
Okay.
So once I get the distributor, I'll start hitting that market, that national market too.
What do you wish you knew before going down this path? Like if someone, because there's a lot of people you hear who want to start their own brewery. What would you suggest to them before they make that leap?
Make sure you have a lot of time and a lot of money.
Okay.
Because you're not going to make money. You're not in this to make money. You're in this for the love of it. And you've got to dedicate a lot of time. The market gets more crowded by the day. In Kentucky, we have a great group of brewers. The Brewers Guild helps me daily. We're all friends. We all help each other out. Against the Grain just invited a bunch of us for their big bottle release last weekend. I went up for that, for their Bow and Luke bottle release. But they invited us to their party. And that's a perfect way to put the guild is, everybody.
And you guys do collaborations through the guild.
Absolutely, yeah. We've done one so far with Goodwood for the
Eclipse. Yeah, we did that.
But as far as the guild goes, Kentucky Breweries, we're trying to do more and more collaborations every day. And Frankfurt's trying to help with the laws, make it easier for us to do collaborations. Because right now the laws are kind of tricky. But they're making it a lot easier to do collaborations, or they're trying to.
Okay. And so, have a lot of money, have a lot of time. Is there anything else that you think you need staff-wise or partner-wise? Because you knew kind of craft beer and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to have smart people around you.
Someone who has skills you don't.
Yes. Yeah. And it's good to have a good team that there's a lot of components that go into this. It's not just making beer and pouring beer. I mean, the marketing, the making it is hard. The marketing is hard. If you have a restaurant in it, that's a whole other set of circumstances that you got to have.
What's the legal hurdles?
The legal it takes a lot of time. And
you almost need a lawyer on staff.
Absolutely. Well, first thing is oh gosh, Laura Hagen's mine.
Lobbyists or anything like that?
No, a trademark attorney.
Okay,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, trademark's huge.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So,
was this White Squirrel Brewing when you first?
It was Bearded Brothers Brewery LLC for the first 3 years, and we had a logo and the whole deal. And through my research, I realized that we needed a trademark attorney. So when we got our spot, it's the first hire I made was my trademark attorney, and she found out that I couldn't use Bearded Brothers because there was two brothers up in upstate Washington that brewed in their parents' backyard in this little bitty brewery, but they've been distributing for 3 years at this point. They didn't have it trademarked or anything, but because of, I forgot the term, but because of they'd already been distributing their beer as Bearded Brothers Brewery. 5 years down the road, I could have completely blown up, and they could come in and say,
we were at first.
We were here first. Eminent domain, I think is what it's called. But anyway, we would have had to completely rebrand. And so my attorney, she said, no, you can't use it, which was a blessing in disguise because I love our logo. I love.
Yeah, there's a lot more marketing material.
Yes, and so that, there's so many hurdles, and just to get your brewer's notices, which that's the number you got to get from the federal government. It was an 8-month process for us that we had to have a lease in place before we could even start it. So you got to count on 6 to 10 months of paying for some place that you can't use until you get this number.
Okay, quick questions. One I already know the answer for. What's the best hip hop album you've ever?
1993.
No, not the year.
Oh,
what's the best hip hop album?
De La Soul Balloon Mind State.
What's the best hip hop group?
De La Soul.
Really?
Yes.
You sticking on De La Soul?
Absolutely.
Over NWA?
Absolutely.
Over Wu-Tang?
Absolutely. Barely.
I thought you were a Diggable Planets.
Diggable Planets is right there too. I was going to say Diggable Planets is right there.
So if you had to go see one in concert, De La Soul or Diggable Planets? Or Tribe Called Quest?
De La Soul.
Still there?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know this. You're a big hip-hop head.
I love hip-hop.
There's a small section of Bowling Green that talks about hip-hop, and you're one of the guys. You're also a big soccer guy.
Yes.
Who's your squad?
Arsenal, unfortunately, is my Premier League squad.
What are you going to be doing during the World Cup this next 2020?
Not watching soccer.
Or 2018,
yeah.
Excuse me.
I've got from now.
You're not going to watch soccer.
I will watch it, of course.
Who are you going to pull?
I got a year to figure that out. I got.
Who are you leaning towards?
It might be Egypt or Greece.
Because you're Egyptian and Greek.
Because they're the little guys.
Okay. You're not going to even go CONCACAF on that.
I might.
Someone's been trying to say Mexico, but I just have.
I love Mexico. I love Chicharito. I got my son. I say I do. My son has a Chicharito jersey. I do. I might.
But you can wear it, right?
Absolutely. But I might do Mexico because I've got a lot of friends from Mexico, and I think I could do Mexico.
Best beer you've had in the past year?
Best beer I've had is the White Squirrel Pale Ale. But
okay, non-White Squirrel.
I went to this Bo and Luke release, which is
what is it?
Called Bo and Luke. It's Against the Grains.
Okay.
They release this beer once a year. It's an imperial stout aged in bourbon barrels, and they had this one. They did 6 variants, which were aged in a different wood, and it was called I'm gonna butcher it. Amanduma wood is some.
All right, we'll look it up and put it in the video.
Best beer I've ever had.
Really?
One of the best beers I've ever had.
And that's Against the Grain in Louisville, which they have a brew pub too. And is it worth going up there to check out?
Absolutely, they do some really good stuff.
Where's your best brew pub you've been to?
Burial in Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay.
It's a really, really.
Why?
Good
what makes it so great?
I can't tell you. But it's small. It's quaint. They do some of the best beers I've ever had, and it's a good feeling. They're very death oriented, but yet they let your kids.
Say that again.
Death oriented.
What does that mean?
It's called Burial.
Okay.
They got a lot of skeletons.
So it's very Halloween oriented. Yes. Okay.
But it's family friendly, and I got 4 kids, so I like to take my kids to breweries. So they got me in. So.
Dad of the year.
Yeah. My son knows how to. My 9-year-old knows how to keg beer.
There you go. Yeah. Family business now.
Yes.
Okay, and then what's the one beer you want to brew that it's style? that you haven't yet?
I'm gonna brew a sour. I don't like sours.
Why then?
Because people love them and they're very challenging, but they're very dangerous because it can infect your system. And I won't brew it until I get a bigger brewery because I won't take the chance. But it's a very challenging style because of the infection that it could curl. Basically, what you could do is you could brew a sour, and your next 4 beers could taste like that sour.
Okay.
And so it's very challenging, and people love them. They sell great.
What's your favorite style?
My favorite style is IPA.
Is that the favorite style of Bowling Green?
No, but most people, it's a favorite style. I'd say it is. It's a favorite style.
It seems like that's the one that everyone talks about.
And I love a porter and I love a nut brown. And I used to not be that big into IPAs, but just in the last, I've always liked them. But in the last 6 months, something's happened to me. And that's all I'm going to drink now.
IPAs?
Yeah, but now that it's getting colder, I'll get right back into the porters and stouts again, big time.
Okay. And just kind of, what do you want people to do to help White Squirrel right now? What would be the one thing they could do?
Go to your favorite liquor store / gas station and ask if they're not carrying our cans, ask them to carry our cans and buy them up.
All right.
Delicious.
All right. Thank you, Sean.
Thanks.